You are live now. Okay.
Cool, awesome. I'm not seeing us yet, but it's all good. Okay, there we
No,
are.
if you want, I see on your Facebook.
Yes, very good. Let me
Yeah.
share. Let me share the video. Thank you for having me, my brother.
Don't worry, we've not started yet. Don't worry, I want to share it on my own account too. Let them come in. We need to. Right now we're supposed to be playing songs, but need to wait for people for like 3 minutes or thereabout.
Okay, no
It's
problem.
an unannounced broadcast, so.
Awesome. Let me share it on my page. Join and share.
Yeah.
Did you put the title of the conversation? What we're talking about?
Yes, it's there. They will see it as soon as they are joining. It's there. Any person who wants to see it can just touch the phone. No comment here yet. Oh, my people. We are getting there. We're getting there. Wait, let me set up the other phone too. Let me set up the other phone too. We are getting there. We're getting there. Wait,
oh, sorry.
Mute put it on mute, please.
I'll put it on mute. Sorry. Okay, it's on mute. Sorry.
The media, yeah, you can put the media on mute. Don't.
I've seen people are joining us.
Yeah. People are joining us. Our brother, Henry Brown. Welcome, my brother. Early bird, as always. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys, for joining us this early. It's an unannounced broadcast, I know, but that being said, the mission must continue.
Yes, sir.
The mission must go on. The mission must go on.
Okay.
No problem. Let them go. In 1 minute, we'll be starting. We'll be starting in a minute. Yeah. Obiemeka, Ije. Yeah, thanks. How are you, my brother? Ogini. Ebu Patron. Patron. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. My people, he's the one that made this format possible. For those of you who don't know, he's my brother and a very good friend who've been helping. Yeah, Abdulaziz Sharif. Thanks for joining us. Alaikum salam, Kankan Hassan. Chris Brandon, how are you, my brother? Thanks for joining us. The topic make plenty sense. Nah, Debbie. Of course, nah. Of course, Debbie, of course. It should make sense. We are sensible people. Of course, we have to make sense every time, every day. Jeffrey, help me share. Jeffrey, do the needful. Jeffrey, help me do the needful. Okay, we have our people here already. Who is this beautiful lady, Mazi? My brother, the name is there. Stop asking me questions, okay? She will introduce herself very soon. Good afternoon, Docho Keke. I'm greeting you.
Good afternoon, people.
Don't worry, hold on. John Ude. Onye kpọrọ m afọ Okaka, my dear, you know me well. Oh, good day, Chris Brandon. You are here too. Education with pride, not education with noise. Yes, my sister.
Well said.
Hi, good day, Jelle. Friday, good day. Thanks for joining us all. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Hi, watching from Austria. Thank you.
Nice.
Mazi Jelle, thank you, my brother. Ijele, I salute my brother. You too. One name of there, oh. You there. Jama, how are you doing? Ebu Presido, I dare your side, though. I dare your corner. I still dare your corner. I still dey your corner. Ekenekwa m gị ijeri Igbo na nwanne ya adịrị gị mma Ugonna Leonard Nzukwu Nzebi Nwoma Daalụ. They are greeting you. Ogonna I will block you on this broadcast. After the broadcast, I will bring you back on. So how many times have you greeted me this way? Okay. We are hearing you. One day I'm enjoying, my dear. Let me enjoy. Dalo. I started to Dachi, tallest, Dachi. Iroko 3, I hear you. My brother. Thank you. Good day, bro. Education in Africa is serious. Don't worry, you will be part of the conversation when our sister is done lecturing us. Greetings, Dushima, the princess of the house, the queen. No, that queen go cause fights. Now the princess of the house, because many people will be Baba Abdulaziz, Abdulaziz, I see you from India. This is your profile picture, eh? Yeah. One day more the So my people, please, we can't go down all these things now. Let's begin in earnest. My sister, good afternoon from Istanbul, and everyone. I greet you all in language of peace. Grand rising to those in America, Asia, the motherland, the mother continent, Africa, the Indian subcontinent, everywhere you're listening to us from. Greetings. I welcome you in the name of peace. We brought you a message of peace, a message of hope. I greet you all. I want our sister to educate us today. Because she has a lot of, she's well loaded, well packed in this aspect. So she's going to educate us. So I want her to introduce herself, then we'll begin the program in earnest. My sister, please kindly introduce yourself to our people.
Thank you. My name is Udochi Okeke. I'm one of the founders of Ikenga Nation. The topic today explains itself, as our brother Ijele has said. We're talking about education in Africa and how wrong education is worse than no education. I think that's the title that was.
Yeah. That's the description.
That's the description. Yes. So this has been a very important topic to me personally, because with Ikenga Nation, our focus has been to educate. Specifically, we're focusing on Igbo people, but in general, we think that education is one of the foundations of what we would do to grow stronger as a people. And so when we focus on the wrong types of education, when we focus on being educated by the wrong institutions, the wrong things that have nothing to do with ourselves, the things that do not relate to us and are not relevant to us, so that when we go home to our own homes, to our own communities, the information is irrelevant to us.
Yes.
Then we end up in a worse condition than had we not received that education in the first place. So that's what we're here to talk about today. Basically, no education is even better than wrong education.
Okay, thank you, my sister. And my people, please, before she go, because after now, I'll just give her the floor to say whatever she wants to say.
Please don't give me the floor. This is a conversation. This is a conversation.
No problem. It's like, no, don't worry. Don't rush it, okay? Don't take it easy. By giving you the floor, I mean, you will teach us what you came with.
Okay.
And I'll be like the moderator. I'm not going to start teaching anyone. It's not my topic. It's yours. Okay? And on this platform, we'll give our guests the opportunity to express themselves the way they feel. Any way they will be free to do so. Just let the message get you. And my people, please, before we go ahead, anywhere you hear Igbo, please, you can replace that Igbo with your own nation. There
Yes.
are many nations in Africa. Even in Ghana, you have several nations
Mm-hmm.
that made up Ghana. In Nigeria, you have over 300 nations. So when you hear Igbo here, we are not talking about Igbo particularly. We are
Mm-hmm.
talking about our various nations
Mm-hmm.
and how our education, like if you're an Igbo man, your Igbo should be Igbo centric. You are a Ga man, your education should be Ga centric. You are an Edo man, your education should be Edo centric.
Yes.
Bring things very closer to the people to make them understand things. That way, they will know the things that are important to them and the things that are not. Ask
Yes.
yourself, all the things you were taught in school, how many of them are you using? Some of my friends here will bear me witness. I hated going to school because I went there. I didn't see anything that I would need personally.
Yeah.
And it's very wrong. It was wrong for my parents to have forced me to go there. At the end of the day, they wasted their money. And almost all the things they taught me there, I'm using none. Believe me, I never learned any new thing in school after JS3. Everything they taught me in school, I could have known them at home.
Yeah.
By reading newspapers, by reading books, you find out that most of the things that we were wasting our time on in school were not necessary. So when you hear this, please, when you hear Igbo, replace that Igbo with your own nation,
Yes.
and it will still make a perfect sense. My sister, please, I'm not sure they can see your head very well. I think your phone, the position of your
What's the necessity? What's the necessity of seeing my own head?
you don't know my people. Please, I know my people. They want everything
Okay.
complete,
Okay.
full package. Okay, please, now you have the floor. You can start with the teaching. I'm listening.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, my brother. Okay. So, as you said, rightly so, no matter what nation you're coming from, this applies to you because what we're finding right now all across Africa, it's not just a Nigeria, it's not just the Igbo thing, is unemployment. That is the
Yes.
thing that we're seeing a lot. People who are jobless, people who don't have money. And when you start talking about this unemployment thing, you look back and you see that for the past so 100 years, we
Mhm.
have been like starting from historically, you have people coming and saying that they're doing charity, they're trying to educate Africans, they're trying to do all these things. But at the end of the day, what you're educating somebody, is it relevant to their community? Is it relevant when they go home and they integrate with their family and they're talking to their brothers and sisters and their cousins and their mom and their auntie and their uncle?
Mhm.
Are they still using that information? Are they still connecting? Are they still able to engage with the people back home? So if we're talking about in Nigeria, if somebody goes to school now and they start learning that Mungo Park discovered River Niger, they go back home to Aba or Enugu or any of these other places or where, what does that, how is that going to help them? How will that help them to put food on the table? How will that help them to take care of the baby, to find diapers and pampers for the baby? How will that help them? It doesn't help. So, in there was a time when us, specifically Igbo people, but I'm just speaking to be specific.
Mhm.
We had something called the apprenticeship program,
Yeah.
and which is something where somebody will teach somebody else a skill
Yeah.
that that person will now grow in that skill and then will now start their own, they'll be sent off to start their own business as a result of being taught by a master, somebody who is already an expert in that particular craftsmanship. So because of that process, we had a more, you see that we had a more integrated, a more culturally sensitive, a more culturally relevant education system. But
Plus,
today,
plus a more productive society.
plus a more productive society. Because at the end of the day, what's the most important thing in a society? Economics, right?
Yes.
Money is the blood. I mean, I know people will not like to talk about money, but money is the blood of the society, because as the money is flowing, but if you think about money like a society, like a body, the money is the thing that, if the money is the blood, because it flows from through the system to
Yeah.
make sure that everything is flowing. Let's not talk about blood. Let's talk about water. It's like the water that waters fertilizes the the rest of the thing, because as
The current of the water, hence the name currency. And
currency. Thank you. Because as you're exchanging money, you're keeping the economy fertile. You're allowing people to grow their businesses, to grow their home. When I give money to my sister who has a shop down the road selling my or whatever, she is now able to feed her family, and she is also able to buy clothing. Then she now passes the money to somebody else. So what I'm trying to say is that the for you to be relevant to your system, you have to be learning skills that are relevant to when you go home. When you go home, what is relevant to what can happen when you're in your home, whether that is in Kenya, whether that is in Tanzania, whether that is in Morocco, whether that is in wherever you are, what are you learning? So let me rewind just a little bit and take you back to the beginning of where I even started to be inspired by this from. Like right now, I'm in the US, but when I was young, when I was in about 13 years old, my father, who was a very patriotic Igbo man, sent me to Nigeria to study in secondary school. Even though I had never really, experienced Nigeria like that before, I he sent me, and I stayed there for 3 years in Isikwato. So when I was there in Nigeria, I actually had an experience with the Nigerian education system for the
is it,
first
please,
time.
1 minute? Is it true that the name means three big heads?
That's what I thought, but somebody was telling me that it's not. I don't know. That's what I thought. Three big heads.
It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. Please carry on.
It's a joke. I don't. You know what? It's okay. So, so when I was younger, I went to school in Isukwata, and we actually what I noticed was that, the things that we were learning, I had already learned most of them when I was in DC, in the US when I was younger. But not only that, some of the things that we were learning was stuff that was being taught in like World War II era, not now. Like not things that were relevant for now. And I even thought to myself, I was like, does most of these things, because the school I went to was a Catholic school, even though my family is not Catholic, but I went to a Catholic school, and we some of the things we learned, which was like religious knowledge, we learned agriculture, we learned so many different things that we were studying. And I just wondered, like, are people really going to use some of these topics that they're learning in the school? You know what I mean? So because some of the things that they were learning that were like home economics, and I never studied economics here in DC, or like here in US. I never studied home economics, but it's something that they were teaching at that time. What else did they study? I just know that there was shorthand was another thing they studied. Further maths was another thing that they studied, and I was just like, when are they ever going to use any of this stuff? Like, I didn't learn any of that when I was here, and I never till today I haven't seen any of that stuff in school here in the US. So I was like, why are we even studying this thing? Why are they studying this thing?
Yes.
So as the way I saw it, I said a lot of this information is irrelevant, and it just stuck in my head. So when I went to university, the school that I went to was it was very diverse. People from all over the world, people from China, Bosnia, India, Pakistan, like literally anywhere in the world you go. That's this university I went to, people from all over the world. And they all had one thing in common. They spoke their own language. But me, as an Igbo person, I couldn't speak Igbo. And they actually made fun of me because of it. They laughed at me. They said, you're not. It was like one guy who was Portuguese actually joked. He used to joke about the whole, like, that conquering Africa thing. He used to joke about it. And that was something that rubbed me the wrong way. Not that the guy is anything, but it just rubbed me the wrong way because it was like I can't even defend myself because at the end of the day, I know what is being said and I've seen it myself. So that was one of those things that, kind of inspired me and made me to think to myself, like, this is something that I really want to um, tackle. This is something I really want to tackle. And so it's something that I've been devoted to for the past like about 4 years or so. And it's really motivated me to do many things, including creating Ikenga Nation along with a partner friend of mine, creating other opportunities with different people, creating. We're working on a dictionary. We're working on a children's TV show, different things like that. So as we're seeing, like if you're not able to go home and use the information that you're studying, why are you spending time breaking your brain to understand to learn something that you're not going to use?
Sometimes I will put it in a way that you have all the time in the world. All you are doing with it is just go take water from your home and pour it in the river. Then you fetch from the river, go back and pour it in your own home. You watch out, you find out that the one you are giving the water to don't need it. Then why stress yourself by carrying the water? Go bring another one back, only to take it and go pour it over there. I don't know if you will agree with me on that aspect.
When you're taking water and you're pouring it, repeat it, please. I didn't really catch that.
To me, I think what you're saying in essence is that we spent most of our lives taking water from our homes, go pour it into the river, then fetch from the river again, go drop it at home, still take the same water, go to the river and pour it again. You find out that you're taking the water you don't have at home and pour into the river that don't need it. Then you bring the water back. Instead of using it, you are not going to use it. You still take it back and pour it there. You understand? You are just running around a circle. I call it motion without movement. Motion without movement.
Sure.
That's what I don't know if you agree with that.
Sure. Yeah. So it is motion without movement because at the end of the day, the people are recycling nonsense. Recycling nonsense, basically. And so what I believe, me personally, I believe that if we focus on an education system that's good for us, because my own solution, as I see it, is that we have to start demanding better education in our communities. We have to, as a people, we must demand it. We must go to our governors. We must go to our statesmen. We must go to people and demand what's going on. Oh, cost 90. What is that? Like one, right?
You see this nonsense. I've never used it ever since I left school. This cost like, oh man, carry on, please.
So, as far as I'm concerned, when we need to demand for better education for ourselves, relevant education. We need to demand that our education system, if you're going to send your own child to a school to go there every day and somebody is putting something inside that child's brain and then they come back home to you, you must demand what that child is taught.
And you are paying while doing all that. You are still paying.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, if we don't demand that our educational system benefits us, favors us, what will end up happening is somebody will teach our children to hate us as a people, and hate themselves. Of course. They'll just teach, somebody else will teach them. If we don't demand, if we don't push for this thing, somebody else will end up teaching them nonsense. So that's why we say miseducation is worse than no education. It's worse than no education. Miseducation is worse than no education. That's the big point,
And so all these explanations, okay.
That's the basis for all this explanation. So what I will say is that it's very important for us because it actually helps the whole world when we educate ourselves better to meet our own needs. How I will explain the fact that this concept actually helps the whole world. It doesn't just help us. It's not selfish to want this, because there's some people that will say, because you're saying that you want your own education to, to favor yourself, that you're being selfish or you're being discriminatory. But it's not. Like, you have to understand, like, if you are doing well, others will also do well.
Yes.
By default. If you are doing well, people who come into contact with you will not only respect you, but they will do well just by connecting to you. So at the end of the day, like, it cannot be a situation where we just depend on other people, or we expect someone else to tell you how it is. Let me give you an example. If a pharmacist comes into your own local village, whether you're in Kenya or Tanzania or even Igbo in Nigeria, if you have a Chinese pharmacist come into your local neighborhood and says, I will now, oh, you're coming for a headache. Oh, your head is you have a headache or stomach ache. And he now says, okay, take this drug. And then he starts telling you the side effects of the drug, but the person can't speak Igbo or can't speak your local language. So the person is speaking Chinese or English or something like that. And the person who wants to take the drug is, maybe they're old, maybe they're in their 90s and they speak mostly Igbo or whatever your local dialect is. How can this person now understand that this drug is going to give them side effect of running stomach? Or or anything else? You know what I'm saying? Like, unless somebody comes and explains to that person, like, there's certain things, there are certain types of, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, nuances. There are certain types of things that a person needs to be able to discuss amongst themselves as a person, as a people, as a community, that will help you to grow. So when you don't educate people according to their community standards, what is normal for them,
or their identity, their cultural values,
their cultural values, their cultural identity, their cultural mores, their cultural, all these things. If you don't educate, and mind you, me as being somebody who has experienced Igbo culture, though I'm not saying I'm an expert, who has experienced American culture, I can unequivocally tell you how much better it is to be able to talk amongst people who have a common background and a common way of doing things. You even know it, but just by being in the Igbo culture, whenever you're doing with things like that, you see, you feel it. But the problem is when oh yes.
No, finish up. I want to jump in.
But the problem is that we like to have fun, which is fine. We like to party. We like to do these things. But the problem is when we are not educated when people try to educate us, they often try to do it with their own ways of doing things.
Please, let me ask you, how would you expect your enemy who destroyed your land,
there you go,
the women, destroyed your tradition and culture, which is your identity, robbed you of even your own name? How do you expect the person to give you the right education, knowing very well that in 4 generations to come, if they give you the right education, you are going to make their own children suffer, and they expect you to do to them the exact thing they did to you. So if you look at it, you find out that they will never give you the right education. They will educate you to be what they want you to be. Like after our series of miseducations, we've grown up to start hating our people, hating our skin colors. All these things didn't start today. It's part of the education. A is for apple. How many of us saw apples until we grew up? A is for, why don't you? Go on.
You're making a very, very good point. And I was being shy to touch on this thing, but because you brought it up, you've let the cat out of the bag. Let me just go in that direction. So he's looking at me like, so at the end of the day, yes, How can somebody, how can you expect somebody who came and just completely destroyed, decimated, raped, and pillaged, who never had the intention? Because see, our people like to say, oh, but they came and they did that, they did this, they did that, they brought us this and that. No, my friend. Our people, like, they were here before the first picture was taken. Before they even took one picture of us, they had been coming for 400 years, 500 years, and decimating everything in sight, doing exploration, learning our culture, doing all these things, looking for ways to penetrate our land. So at the end of the day, when they're coming back with ships and with camera and with all these things to tell you that this is who you are, they've already planted the seeds. You're already confused.
They
already destabilized you.
Stole the ones they stole and took it in their place. Then brought this rubbish. I keep telling my people, all these photos you people are posting, you're even helping share them, where they have your ancestors in racks. Do you know, if they didn't show you those photos, if you didn't see those photos, you will never ever open your mouth and say that the Europeans brought you clothing. Africans have been making textile materials long before the first European came across the sea. When the Greeks crossed the Mediterranean Sea into Africa, they did not meet people who are roaming around naked. But you wouldn't know all these things if you were educated in their school system.
We must demand culturally relevant education for ourselves. We must demand it. We have to ask for it. We must demand it. Because this is the thing. Until we tell people, look, this is what we want to teach our kids. At the end of the day, when we're over here taking in just anything that somebody's given us, when you're letting people tell you that your history started from slavery, that your history started from colonization, your history started when Alexander the Great or whoever came to your land and told you that
Alexander the Greek.
Alexander the Great Thief. So when they tell you that your history started with Jesus or whoever the big person is, that is your the first person, the first man or whatever. When somebody comes there and starts telling you that thing and you just start believing it, anything they tell you at that point, you're just going to eat it up. And then you find yourself always at the bottom. Look at the Forbes list of richest people in the world. And we always say, "Oh, Dangote this, Dangote." We always call him because he's the richest black man that we can call by name.
The one you know, that's the
one you know.
He is nowhere near the top 5 richest people in Nigeria.
That's what I was. But okay, so that's the case. But check the list that they write. Forbes richest people, billionaires. Check the list. Check where Dangote is the richest black person that they will acknowledge, right?
Yeah.
Check that list. Where is Dangote? Past 100 itself. He hasn't even reached top 100 of the richest people in the world as they have recognized them.
But do you notice that list, that Forbes list, is actually a part of the miseducation? Because the person they tell you, the top 3 people on Forbes richest on the Forbes list, the top 5 can't even scratch 5% of the wealth gathered by the British royal family.
I mean, all of these things that you see, media, whatever, is all there for you, for your consumption, so that you can be. That is education too. That in itself is education. That is its own education. So you have to be selective. You have to choose which things you're going to consume, and that's why you have to demand. Go to your government, go to whoever it is that is controlling your education system, your minister of education, and demand that your education favors you, because all these people who are there teaching you they don't have your best interest at heart until you yourself are the one that is dictating what will happen with your children.
Is it that they don't have your best interest at heart, or they can't teach you beyond what they know? See, listen, go home now. Everybody listening to me now. Go home Get one of your teachers, the smartest among them. Sit the person down, have a 20-minute conversation with the person. You find out that the person is empty. And
Yeah.
going back to what you just said, I don't think the government is going to do this. They don't even know anything. I believe that school education should be local.
Yeah. Oh,
Education,
yeah. Of course.
if you are living in the western part of Nigeria, you are living in Yoruba land as a kid, you have to learn how to speak Yoruba, even when you know how to speak yours. Why? Because the education, the school there, I believe every school in every region should be teaching the people in their local language. English is just what you learn maybe once every day.
The thing about it is, this is here in US, in DC, where I am right now. There are people here whose parents speak to them in their language. You will learn English. Yeah. You must learn English. It will happen. But why should you now divorce yourself from your own culture and tradition? When somebody comes into your home, if you don't want to start from who you are, they will tell you who you are.
Of course.
So you must start from who you are first. At the end of the day, you have to start from who you are. I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 198%. At the end of the day, if we allow other people to tell us how we're going to live our lives, how we're going to raise our own children, like, they're not going to teach you beyond what they know, but they're also not going to teach you beyond what serves them.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Like, why would they teach you? Why would they teach you to go and do your own thing so that you will no longer be somebody who they can use? Yeah, depending on them. Yes.
Because if you are not dependent on them, they will never use you. They can't. They can't use who is not. Like this thing you said just touched the heart of what is happening in northern Nigeria. If you look at it, you find out that there is a very, very planned effort to make sure that the people there remains docile. I'm not attacking any northern Nigerian, no, but let's just say the truth. When, like for instance, to get into the university, or even the secondary school, federal government colleges, to get into government secondary schools, do you know if you score even less than 5%, you are getting admitted? Then in the university, they will lower the bar so much. Tomorrow, the same people they gave all that low bar are the same people they will give jobs. And now when they give the person the job, they know that this person is not here on merit. That's where they will control you. If you don't do what they ask you to do, they will remove you and put someone else. And those people themselves know that they are not equipped to go face the reward.
Yeah.
What they will do is that they will keep on doing what those people told them to do. That's why they keep fighting against all the people who are calling for educational revolution in northern Nigeria. Look at Sanusi. Whatever you think about him, you can never say that what he's saying is a lie by telling them that they need to end their marginal system. You need to educate people more on what they will use. Okay, take for instance, in northern Nigeria, why would their education be focused on Islam mostly? Every year, Quran recitation competitions in Saudi Arabia, in Indonesia, or even Egypt are won by Nigerians. Now tell me, what is that Islamic education going to do to you other than making you more docile? I don't know if you are following me. So please.
Yeah, I mean, they want to control those people now. That's the only thing that's there. They want to control those people. They're interested in moving them along in the way that they want them to do. At the end of the day, how do you control? At the end of the day, there's a hierarchy. There's a hierarchy. There are people at the top. Those people have the money. They have the power. They have their interests. You have to know where you fit into where you fit into everything, because wherever you fit into things, that's where you yourself will end up. That's who you will serve.
Yeah.
That's who you will serve. And so, yes, they will teach them according to their religion, because those are the people that they serve. Am I wrong?
But for me, I think the only reason they are teaching them in Islamic way is because Islam tells people to be subservient to their masters, just like Christianity is
Okay,
telling
yeah,
people just obey your masters. Because let me tell you, why would they educate you to stand on your own 2 feet, knowing very well that when you know yourself, know who you are, they cannot control you? Look at
yeah,
what's happening. The police are killing people and everyone keeps silent. Believe me, if the whole Nigeria shuts down just one day over police killings, all these things, they will talk about it. And we don't expect these people to be good because they've been fashioned to be this way, the way they are.
yeah,
They are power drunk. Then our educational system, there is a reason the president is always interested on who is the education minister. And what, for instance, they removed history from our classes, and some
yeah.
people want to blame the white men. I'm like, no, do not blame the white men for removing history in your school. They are not the ones in control of your
And
educational system.
they can't.
Rather, they are the ones in control of the people ruling over you. And those people ruling over you. Now, tell me, for instance, why would the Sultan of Sokoto support history being taught in school? At some point, you have to talk about the history of Nigeria. You have to talk about their migration from Niger Republic and Chad into Nigeria. You have to talk about how they massacred the people. Basically, genocide. They are all genocidal maniacs. By the time then you come to the southeast in Igbo land, I always come back to my place. When you do the history, you find out that, hey, this guy you're calling a king was actually put in there by the British. Then you go and check what's the history of the British. You find out that you are destroying the entire political structure of the country. So in some places, the miseducation is being done on purpose.
They are keeping silent. They don't want you to know. They're keeping it hush hush. They're rewriting your history, essentially, is what they're doing, because what they want is actually for you not to be able to trace the facts that they are the ones. It's like if your enemy came. It's like if your enemy took something from you now. Will want to tell you that he's the one that did it? He
No,
doesn't want you to. He'll cover your.
you are expecting a thief to investigate himself and give
He
you
won't
the
investigate himself. He won't investigate himself. He's gonna want to keep it quiet. He's gonna want to keep it on the hush hush, so that
yeah.
he doesn't, so that you yourself will forget that. Oh, well, that's how things operate. At the end of the day, when you trace back the facts and look through who is the one to you. It's funny how you said it's not the white people that did this thing. It's funny because you'll find maybe even that those people are not even happy with the way, because every country is a company.
Yeah, it's a
Every
company.
country is a company. Check it.
Yeah,
There is somebody at the top, the CEO of the company, and it's usually in Africa. These presidents are not CEOs; they're figureheads. They're There's people behind them. All these African countries, all these African presidents and things like that. Many of them, most of them, in fact, 98% of them, I may even say 100%, but I don't know who and who are doing things in a certain way, because that is how things are, because they have to, because somebody else is doing things. They are the managers. If you work in a corporation, there's the manager, there's the CEO, then
yeah,
there's the managers. The managers are the ones that rule the workers. So
yeah,
these presidents are really just managers. Then
yeah,
there's the ones that rule, then there are the workers themselves. So if you think about it, if you look at everything from top to bottom, these managers may even be doing a bad job. They may not be
yeah.
giving you health care. They may not be giving you your wages. They may not be giving you everything that you need. And then the CEO may not even be happy with them. You'll be surprised. So at the end of the day, if the job isn't getting done that the CEO wants to get done, therefore your company is going to fail. And that's what happened. We're having failing systems. So they're sending in new managers, and you're seeing the Chinese come in, you're seeing all these other people come in, you're seeing new managers come in. And that's what's happening right now. As that's my own opinion, though. You can
Yeah.
take it,
Thank you.
whatever you want to do.
Yeah, thank you. My brother Adam will please carry on. Go on.
Yeah, first and foremost, I'd like to appreciate what you guys are doing, and I'd like
Thank
to
you.
appreciate our sister Udochi Okeke. And
Mhm.
God, this is so surprising. I got into it like at the middle of doing all that stuff as you can see. I'm out about just like every other time and while we're here. And I'm
Yeah.
really glad that she took her time to come up and express some certain things. In fact, it really, really got me and that brought me to, in fact, expressing my interest of coming in with a couple questions.
Yeah.
Right now, we're talking about education.
Yeah.
What people need to understand about education is not about going to school and sitting in the classroom.
Yes.
Education is what you encounter every day of your life. In fact, school system shouldn't even be a priority because
Yeah.
these days you can teach your kids at home, and which
Mm-hmm.
is the basic for education, which is the main thing that you need to survive in life.
Yes.
You know, one interesting thing about what she was saying and how she got to where she was going and all the stuff she was saying, I really, really appreciate. I would, in fact, if your parents are here, I will shake their hands. In fact, they did one important thing to your life that you might not even appreciate right now, or might not even see it as a big deal. I can guarantee you and I can bet on this, and you can verify that when they took that decision, you were not happy. And by the time you're done with that decision they took, you were a different person. Coming back to the state, you begin to appreciate everything. In fact, look at the way and the idea and everything you're spinning out here now. In fact, I can guarantee and I know quite well that you, when you go back here and face some challenges, you wish to go back. Is that not true?
It's true. It's true.
When you got challenged at the school,
Mm-hmm.
you need to look for you to know where you're going to. You need to know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now it comes down to here when the chips are down, they come out. Everybody comes out with their own ways, expressing who they are.
Mm-hmm.
We are proud of it. They dedicated their life to it. They beat their chest. I'm a Portuguese. They speak Portugal.
Yeah.
I'm an
Mm-hmm.
Indian. They speak Indian. I'm from this. They speak that boldly. But you were
Yeah.
scared. You went to the corner, and
Mm-hmm.
that thing went back to you 3 years before you got back. When you
Yeah.
were sent back,
Mm-hmm.
look, you have something that nobody can take away from you. Bob Marley said it. You got something that can never take away. Bob Marley also says, the only teachers that our food are meant for shoes. If you know that, these are parables. Like what Ijele says, going into your house, fetching water to pour in the ocean. That's parable. It means so much. It means that you're taking something that you don't need, taking it to somewhere that it doesn't even necessarily need.
Now, let me please, my brother, don't forget what you're saying. Let me clarify it very well. It's like sending your child to an expensive secondary school,
Mm-hmm.
good structure, good school uniforms,
Mm-hmm.
good everything, school buses, everything is nice. You pay millions of naira for that child to go there and start shouting hallelujah, learning that Mungo Park discovered River Niger, seeing a white photo of Jesus Christ, learning that Muhammad is the messenger of God, praising Uthman Dan Fodio. Imagine in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria, where they should be burning anything with Uthman Dan Fodio on it. They are there praising him. One of their best schools is named after him. Now you have a population praising the man who started destroying them from the time they entered from North Africa, from Egypt to Sudan, to Ethiopia, to Chad, to Central African Republic, to all the places Islam is. You are sending them to the same school. Now, you take your limited resources, selling your land to send a kid to school to go and study mass communication. Please tell me how many people with, oh, please. I don't even know where to be. My brother, please carry on.
Mass what? Mass communication that you can't even speak the own language.
Uh-huh.
What are you communicating?
Uh-huh.
What do you want to communicate with people? You see, don't even try to bring all this and stuff. You see, religion was the worst thing that they brought to Africa. They came with
Yes.
Bible. Look, we've been doing stuff before they came. I wish I could paste a big photo on the comment section. They came. They discovered that there was no beggar. There was no layman. There was no this. There was no that. Everything was intact. And they
Yes.
said, we see a people with pride, a people with a rich background, a people with a rich culture, no beggar, no thief, no that. The only way to conquer these people will be difficult for us. Their belief, their religion was strong. You invoke Amadio, I will consume it right away. Nobody speaks from nobody. Nobody takes another person's wife. Nobody goes about doing all sorts of evil. Brother cannot poison brother. Then, but these days, what is going on? So tell me what is bigger than that. They came back. What did they come back with? They came back with Bible. They said, for you to conquer people, you have to change their mindset. You have to change their culture and belief. And that's what they're doing to us. And people are here celebrating it. They're saying all kind of nonsense. You see, my happiness today is that you came in. Yeah. You have so much. You have so much that you're trying to say. I see you holding back. I see you holding back. I don't know why you're holding back.
Okay, let me say this.
You have two background. You have two background. You need to clarify some things here.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I will want this video. I would like to share this video places because I'm encountering so much things. I'm in different groups trying to educate people. My heart bleeds.
Yeah.
That we abandon everything that made us who we are. Yes. Something that set us aside. I don't want to go into trying to express my experience or try to tell you my story in the US here. I'm in the US. Mm-hmm. I'm in Ohio.
Yeah.
I know what I went through. I didn't go to school in Nigeria. But when I interact with people that went to university, you ask me what did I study in the university. It's not about going to school. It's here. Mm-hmm. I read paper.
It is.
They know, ask my junior brother. Anywhere I go to, I pass a paper, I will stop and read it. Anyway, anything I'm doing or whatever I find myself, anywhere I find myself, whatever is readable, I will read it. During my school day or in primary school, who are you? Come on, we deal with it. Common sense is all you need to survive in life. Forget about school. School is about you to be able to express yourself with other people from other places or part of the world. But look, one thing I regret in my life today is not being able to write Igbo fluently. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You have to know where you're coming from.
Imagine. Yeah, I want to piggyback on your point about you have to know where you're coming from, because imagine somebody taking away your history, telling you forget you don't have history. Where are we going? It's like somebody.
It's nobody. People without history, you're nobody.
Where are you taking us to?
Hold on, brother.
Sorry. At the end of the day, you ask yourself, what?
Go on.
Yeah. So it's like taking away the motivation. Let me say this. Because I went to Nigeria as a youngster, I grew up in the US, right? I saw African Americans. I saw myself in my African home, in my Nigerian, my Igbo home. I went to school. In fact, many African American people were making fun of me. They used to laugh at me because of different things that were related to my African background. So once I came out, my parents now sent me when I was 13 years old to Nigeria to go to boarding school. I now saw my own people, where my parents came from, for the first time in my kind of, cognizant life, to kind of understand things a little bit better. I now came back to US, saw African Americans, saw Nigerians, and started kind of putting the pieces together in my head about why things are the way that they are now. And it helped me to kind of formulate a vision for myself. You can't tell me that you don't have a purpose. I don't have a purpose in my life, because I have a purpose based on my experiences. I know my history to a degree. Because obviously, a lot of our history is still, but I know my history enough. I know my father. I know where my father came from. I know where my mother came from, which a lot of African American people can't say. So when we see those types of things, you see that when somebody doesn't know where they come from, they don't know their history, they don't know what are you teaching them, where are they going, where are you leading them to? All you're doing is creating a bunch of brainwashed people. So we have to demand education. We have to demand to be educated according to our own needs. What are our own desires? What are our own cultural needs? Do we want to build our countries to be reflective of who we are? Do we want to build our communities, our children, to be proud of themselves, to continue to build? When you're teaching us a whole bunch of nonsense, Fela said, teacher, teach me no nonsense, right? Yeah.
Teach me nonsense. Don't teach me nonsense.
Don't teach me nonsense. So when you're teaching people a whole bunch of nonsense, what you're doing is creating zombies. You're creating zombies. That's all you're doing, because that's your intention. You want to create people who will just say yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, and at the end of the day, they're not going to really be, have any motivation of their own. So you have to demand these things. Like, I mean, and I'm only getting started. I'm only getting started. At the end of the day, unless we say that our mission is to educate our people, that's our, we must change our mindset about this thing. I'm so passionate about this thing, to have our people to change their mindset, to focus on the educational aspect of that thing, because it's the mind, the mental. That's the thing. That's how they got us. That's how they caught us. They caught us in the mind. Once they get you, once they lock your mind, it's like it's over. They can just go home and rest. Like, okay, we got him. We don't need to worry about this person anymore. He's out.
Yeah.
So once they get
now,
yeah,
I'm not trying to cut you off. After you went back to Nigeria and got back, how do you feel?
I mean, I felt so, like I knew myself. I think when I was and even if I don't know myself completely, at least I know where I'm going. You understand what I'm saying? Like, where you're going.
You discovered yourself.
You
discovered that you have something.
Hold on one second.
Carry on, my brother. Carry on.
So, didn't that give you the sense of belonging? Isn't that the purpose? When you came back, what was the level of your confidence?
My confidence was increased. Yes, of course. My confidence went
you
up.
You feel like you belong. You have something. You got something. There was something in you. There was something you discovered. You know exactly who you are and where you're coming from.
Please.
Yes.
If nothing else, during this lockdown, were you ever worried about what you will eat because they won't deliver food to your house? Where do you learn how to cook?
I've never worried about what I'll eat. Of course, I know how to cook. I suppose I know how to do all these things.
Now, do you think you would have known how to do all those things because what you eat is what you are? Most people look at now when they're in everywhere. Who is disturbing our program? Everywhere. The story is that this coronavirus in America is mostly affecting Black people in America. But come to Africa, come to Turkey. As a Black man, they will look at you and tell you, you people, it doesn't affect you. Why? It's the food we eat. Now, if they didn't take you back home, would you know all those foods? Would you know that your food is medicinal? Yeah. Now, these are the things that money can never buy. Back to what you said about African Americans not knowing their roots. There is a reason. See, miseducation will keep you perpetually poor. There is a reason African Americans.
Yes, they are hear the bell from here.
There is a reason they are poor, not just mentally, but materially. Back to our adage: if you don't know where the rain starts beating you, you wouldn't know where it will stop. You understand? Now, all those things. Look at wealth. Look at education. Like, let's just use the mainstream education we know about. There is a reason African immigrants are doing better than African Americans.
Of course.
It goes back to maintaining your culture, because those people, don't blame them too much. Most of them, when they were given birth to at age 3, they were taken from their mothers and sold. And that place they are going to, they don't know their language, nothing at all. Someone will buy a child at age 3. Before you turn 12, maybe your mother is dead, your father is dead, no one will come look for you. Then 300 years later, it continues. This cycle continues for over 300 years. How do you think they will trace their ancestry? Meanwhile, your name was stolen from you. If all of them still bear their native names today, they will find their way back. And the people who did those things to them know exactly what they were doing. And they know that when you rob people of their identity, they will have no leg to stand on. Right now, I'm an African American. Africa, from where? In Africa. Nigeria, okay, out of the over 300 tribes, where are you from in Nigeria? You don't know. But if you're still bearing your name, at least to a great extent, you can adopt a state. Maybe when your father was stolen, his name was Okeke, and you still carry that to KK to this day, you can lay claim to any state in Igbo land and adopt it, will accept you. But African American, from where in Africa? Do you notice how far the damage went? And we can, in fact, we don't even have enough time to discuss about all these things. About the damage. Carry on.
So look. Every time I can't believe we're here discussing this. Do you know the kind of joy I have in me discussing this? In fact, you see this coronavirus, I think it has a lesson, a big lesson to teach.
No, it's teaching us a lot. The great teacher. The great teacher. Reality.
If I had made my way back home when I intended to, I swear to God, you all can have your America. I will be in the farming. I had my plan.
Yes.
Look, let me tell you something. It makes me sad. Seeing young people, I grew up farming. I can tell you everything and anything that I can do. Give me 6 months from then, I start reaping the whole benefit. Food, everything. I watch people call me, hey, these are, they are these. I shake my head. I said, look at it. You planted corn when this thing started. By now, the corn would have been ready for you to harvest.
Carry on, my brother. We are hearing you.
I just don't understand why they've made us to think. And it's so sad that the younger ones are picking up from the negativities they see on TV. Watching too much TV has turned their mind. They from reality. It's very sad. You see people these days, all they speak about is all they see on TV. African Americans with their nice sneakers and their pants sagging on their waist, bling all over the place, and all that. I just don't get it. We have something that nobody can take away from us, which is in fact, these people we are trying to imitate are so envy about what we have. They want it. They want it so bad. In fact, they will do anything to get it. And are you surprised on what is going on today?
Thank you, my brother. My brother, hold on, please. Let us bring our sister Doshima. Doshima, please welcome. Introduce yourself to our guests and jump into the conversation. Hello, Doshima. Can you hear us? Oh, she can't hear us. She can't hear us. She'll join us later. She'll join us later. I
want to piggyback off of what our brother said. He said that the way that people listen to TV. Okay, sorry, let me let him go ahead.
No, finish up.
Okay, so basically, yeah, sorry. So he said that when people are not educated properly, they start to, they just listen to whatever they hear on TV. And I feel like TV is another way of education. All these things are education. So it's garbage in, garbage out. Somebody is educating your child. So at the end of the day, if you don't have the proper education, somebody will be educating your child in the wrong way. They will educate your child to hate you. They'll educate your child to hate themselves. And that's the problem. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
Okay, my brother, jump in. Hello.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Yeah, welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah.
His network is very bad. Sister Doshima, please carry on.
Hello, everyone. A very beautiful day to you.
The network is bad. Please, our people, when you are coming, make sure there is no noise, no background noise. This studio picks up every sound, so every little thing will disturb it. Back to what you were saying about television. Some people are saying that watching too much television will get you depressed, and I told them no. Watching too much television and spending so much time on your tablets or phones is not going to get you depressed unless you are watching depressing things. It's a double-edged sword. You are either getting, if you are getting the right information, you will never be depressed. If you are getting the wrong one at the first sight of reality, you will be swept off your feet completely. You will have no legs to stand on. Take for instance, in our place, all these things about suicide, this, that is, when did it begin? When did it begin? Ever since we started pursuing shadows, instead of looking at the main things. Okay, right now, how many people do we have here? If we start talking about stupid things, believe me, you will have thousands of people listening. Now it's still back to that education. Look at most of my friends, this COVID-19 did not hit them by surprise. Why? We've been talking about COVID-19 since last October. Even as at December, we are telling them, stock up on food. If you are living in where you can buy guns, please buy your own gun. Have ammunition. Buy gun and ammo. Ready. Buy food. Buy dry food. Get your water ready. Get these things. They weren't paying attention until when it hit, everyone started running helter-skelter. Guess what? Most of my friends were not bothered because they were prepared for this. Those who were not prepared for it, you see how it hit them. This is the same way life treats us. This is the same way reality hits us. You are the information you put in here. You are as smart as the information you are exposed to. Now, what will make you special is your ability to articulate it. That's the difference. Other than that, believe me, I know more than all my teachers combined. The ones I'm still talking to, when you are talking to them, they will be like this, so more, looking at you like a mannequin. Looking at your teacher. This is the person that taught you, the person you are seeing next to God as you're growing up. If you're pastors, you're everything. Back to it all goes back to education. What are you hearing? Nature abhors vacuum. At every given time, you are receiving an information. Now, that information, if it's the wrong one, you will end up flying blind. You'll be flying blind. When reality hits you, it will be like a plane that hits a concrete wall. Of course, you will crash. Hence, the high rise of suicide. Check, most people that commit suicide is mostly the people that are educated. Mostly educated people. Now, check for instance, there's this my sister, Sunday Wendy. I went to her on her platform. They were talking about suicide among Nigerian poets, these young poets. I'm like, if I tell what is the cause of this suicide, this spike in suicide rate among those people, you people will not like it. Why? Because when you tell them the truth, they'll tell you, you are not, what's the word I'm looking for? You are not compassionate. You are this. You are heartless. A stone-hearted human being. This and that. I said, no. Now let's take a look at what they are writing about. Check their works. Friction. You're writing fictional works in a world with so many reality that many people, incredible realities. A whole lot of incredible realities, and you're still writing about fiction. What does that show? Knowing to write a good English, know to construct your words, know when to put comma, hyphen, this, that, this is not it. Check what these guys are writing. It is fiction. Why would you resort to fiction? Because you don't have the reality. Why would you copy? Why would you take the copy when you have the original? You find out that it goes back to this education. We are all wrongfully educated. My sister, please, I want to throw it to you. Carry on with the rest of your teaching, please. It's like we are veering off the topic.
No, I find it very interesting. I never thought about it that way, but it's very interesting that you should say that. I actually wanted to touch on a couple of things also.
Yeah.
When you think about education that is relevant to ourselves, you have to ask yourself, what does that mean? Education that is relevant to ourselves. You think about the uniqueness of each of our communities.
Brother, check your WhatsApp. I sent you via WhatsApp. Check, there's a Turkish number. You will see there. Check it via WhatsApp. I sent you via WhatsApp, my brother. Carry on, sister.
Yes, there are some things that you will find in our place that you will not find anywhere else in the world. There are things that you will find in our place, agriculturally and other ways that you will not find anywhere else in the world. And because of that, you know that we are special people. There's certain things like icheku and I don't know what other things that
many things we can't even begin to tabulate.
I can't even begin to start talking about them that I haven't seen in the US for one day. Like even the cashew fruit.
Hold it there, please. Hold it there, please.
Wait.
Hold it there, please. Please. Do you know that the first time I almost slapped one guy? I was just going near the fruit section of the supermarket. Then they had like about 4 avocados left. And those avocados, believe me, if you give it to a kid in my place, they won't tell you thank you. I was just trying to shift. If you see the way they rush this thing, and the way the guy was holding it when we got to the checkout, the way he was posing, I'm like, 4 of these avocados are not even up to 1 in my place. I will not eat this for free. You find out the way these people appreciate avocados, bananas, pineapples. Meanwhile, you go back home. When they see a McDonald's advert, they'll be like, hey, man, Ndocha, they may enjoy. Hey, white people, enjoy it.
Enjoy it. I want them on 1 year. So 2 years ago, I want them on 1.
Enjoying cancer.
Now, before I went, I'm going to go extra tire.
Yes.
One in India, I don't need anybody to explain to me to go look for egusi and bitter leaf.
Yeah. These things are. These things have health benefits. These things have health benefits. Most of us here in the States do not know for one day where our food comes from. You cannot tell us where our food comes from. I didn't know until I went to Nigeria when I was 13 years old. I didn't know that cashew was actually a fruit. That there's the fruit, then there's the nuts. For one day, because you only get it in package in the plastic, in the little nuts. That's all you get. So when I was in Isikwato, there was a cashew tree, big cashew tree.
You have many of
of that place is cashew.
Everywhere in Isikwato is cashew. It's so cheap.
Yes.
Please, carry on.
So we would take the fruit and we'll eat on everything like that. I was so shocked. This thing that they're selling packaged for like $10. That the roasted that you'll be used that they'll be roasting in this thing. You have the cashew there.
I have mine here.
So you see, and we don't need we for one day we don't know where these foods come from, and that's why somebody can feed you nonsense today and you just be eating it. And then tomorrow you'll have cancer and you'll wonder why. So, and even it affects your mental health too. We're talking about depression. It affects your mental health too.
You know what you look at this?
Do you know I don't know what that is?
Medicine. Oh.
What is it?
Our bitter cola.
Did you see the tree when you went back there? Did you see the tree?
Oh,
bitter cola tree.
I probably wasn't paying attention. I know what bitter cola is. I've had it.
Yeah.
We used to use it. We used to use it to study.
Yeah.
When we're staying up late. In boarding school.
Yes.
No, that one is the actually cola. The bitter cola is different. The cola you're talking about contains nicotine.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
This one is alligator pepper.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, go ahead. I will ask you a question. Perhaps maybe I should tell you now. How do you feel when you see the real yam? When you see the real yam compared to what you have here as a yam?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Now what we have here, they call sweet potatoes yams. Those red potatoes. They call that yam. That's not yam. But I'm glad you brought that visual aid to show us what these fruits are, because these are the type of things that if we will be educated as our people, as ourselves, with our history and all those types of things, we'll be studying those things. We'll be studying this bericolo. We'll be studying these things, and we'll be creating and innovating and doing different things with that stuff.
Antibiotics, they sell it
Antibiotics, all
Where did they
these
get all those
things.
things from?
You know,
Look at what Madagascar is doing now. They class it untested cure. Are you crazy?
Go on, sister.
We must demand that these things.
Finish up, sister. Finish up.
We must demand that these things be put in our school system. We must demand it. I'm telling you, we must demand it. It's not an option, because without it, we are lost. We are 100% efulefu gone. So we have to demand that these things be put. We must demand that these things be in our system. Yes.
One more thing to add to what you said before I will bring our brother Lifestone. Now, in our school, when we were doing nutrition in the classes, when they want to give you an exam, maybe they will tell you source of vitamins. They will start mentioning things that don't grow around you, when they could have told you that so fruit, this fruit, that fruit does this to the body. This one, they will not teach you the local things. They will be telling you strawberries. Do you know how old I was when I first saw strawberries? I saw strawberries for the first time. Blueberries, they don't grow around me. Please tell me the source of vitamins from my own area. Source of protein, make it local. They will not do it. They will be telling you things that you will not even know that you don't even know they exist unless you see it on TV. Meanwhile, those days we are not as fortunate or unfortunate as the kids of today. No access to the internet. You can't see all those things. They will be teaching you things as if they are in abstract. Teach me about my things. If your education is cultural, you find out that your teacher, by the time she will check the name of strawberry in Igbo language or Yoruba language or Hausa language, she will just tell you another local fruit that gives you the same thing. It will educate you. You equip yourself from infancy. You build your immune system. Your local food builds your immune system, is part of your DNA. So your education should be part of your DNA also, if it's going to help you. My brother Lifestone, please jump in. Lifestone, are you there? Are you there, Lifestone?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you very clearly. I can hear you clearly.
Oh, okay. Greetings, my sister. You've spoken very well. You've spoken very well. In fact, I love everything that you are saying. Look, this education system has been my problem in Africa and even in Ghana now. Most of the time, I say the education system we have in Africa is just like bringing up people, educated illiterates who have certificates. That is the kind of education system that we have in Africa. We don't have education system that makes us productive. Our education system does not make us productive. It makes us kind of dull. Why? Because the education was brought to us by our colonial masters, who brought a system to colonize us, and they brought it into our education system. Imagine at Ghana here, at the JHS school, a student is learning religious and moral education, music and dance, social studies, natural science, pure science. Then you are learning maths. You are learning all these subjects at a time as a small kid. By the time you get to the senior high school, you are already confused in your brain. You don't know what career line to even choose. Yes. When you get to university, it's worse. You look at even the musicians we have in Ghana. Most of our musicians went to university to do business. They went to university to do political science. Why is the education not training them, or why are they not picking up careers in the education that they went to? Because the education is bogus. I went to school, they told you should draw a grass cutter and label the parts. What is labeling the parts of a grass cutter got to do with my life today? You went to school, they tell you to learn pi r square. Today, I'm in the system, I have to work. What is pi r square doing for me today? These are the nonsense that we went to school to learn, and we have become confused. And these things are making us, our education is making us more dependent on our government and God.
Yes.
So that is the final mind of the Ghanaian. Someone with PhD believes in God, believes God will make all things possible.
A doctor, a medical doctor, a medical doctor.
Medical doctor will tell you, we just give you the drug, but God will do the healing. Look at the mentality. This is the form of education we have in Africa, and it's time that our leaders begin to see that this 200 years old education system must be changed. It's not helping anybody. It's not helping anybody.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, we become corrupt. All our leaders that we have today, they are products of the same education system. They all went through the same education system. What have they produced for their country? If you come to Ghana, the most richest and successful people in Ghana are all illiterates. They are people who did not go to these schools. They didn't go to the Roman Catholic school. They didn't go to the Presbyterian school. Most of them don't even have any basic education. Let me give you a typical example. There is one man in Ghana called Despite, Kwame Despite. He has all these companies, Despite Media Group, Peace FM, all these companies. The man is an illiterate. He never went to school. But there is a saying in our language that the home knowledge is education, but book knowledge does not give you sense.
Please, my brother, hold it. Don't forget what you are saying. I will get back to you just now. I want to chip in something before you continue. Livestone. Listen, in Nigeria, the only known man who manufactures a car will come and give an interview, grant an interview. I think that's the only local car manufacturer in Nigeria. He will give an interview. Go and check all the interviews granted by Innocent. In the comment section, you will see hundreds, if not thousands of people telling them, hey, this money misroad. He can't even speak good English. You go find work for him company. You will go school, where sabi speak English. Now you go still go there, go find work. My brother, Livestone, please carry on.
So Okay, my brother, speak.
I'm not trying to tell you or try to correct, but I'm trying to clarify some impression here. When we're talking about education and the illiterate you mentioned. Now, let me take, for example, the person that created Facebook, does he have a college degree?
No.
The people that are doing magnificent things in this life, that created so many things and industrialized the whole world, did they go to university? Education we're talking about is the qualification. We give it name. Look, common sense is what we're talking about here. Common sense. Talking about common sense. I don't care what you say. Innocent didn't go to school. Does Innocent have something that they need? Yes, it does.
Oh, yes.
Everybody. Look, my sister said something that really got me. He said,
I think I can't hear him. I want to go off and come back. I can't hear him.
Okay, go ahead.
So, for instance, what you said about the nurturing of our people, the educational system we have back in Igbo land, where somebody pick up a kid, train them, and kind of give them a start up. That's education.
Yeah.
That's one thing nobody can take it away from you. What you know, look here, you know this quite well. When you go when you get into a job interview in America here, after everything, what did they ask you? What skill do you have? That's what set me apart when I worked in a factory for 6 years. They asked me, apart from any other, what skill do I have? I said, I know about electricity. I know about this. I know about that. I did a computer programming in Nigeria. I can reformat system and do other stuff. Internet leveling, everything. I can install generating system from scratch and everything. I can even go deep and all that. By the time I'm done with all that, the boss look at me like, you know all these things? I was like, yeah. He said, did you go to school for it? Do I have any certificate to prove that? I said, I didn't go to school for it. I learned it. He was like, what? I said, I learned it. And he said, you can do all this. I thought it's done. He picked me to the floor. He said, he pointed something. I told him, I said, I can open this and look at this, look at this, look at that, look at all the components that made up this thing. He was like, you said you didn't go to university for this? You didn't go to school? I said, no, I learned it. So I was like, impressive. Like, are you for real? Like, is there any place that teach people that didn't go to school about this? I said, every corner of the street.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So education we're talking about is just a name. If you take your time, look out, you can educate yourself. It's all about knowing something. That's education.
Yes.
It doesn't take a genius to create stuff. Those people that made history and all that stuff didn't go to school.
Thank you, my brother. My sister, please jump in. And if there are other things you haven't touched, you touch, because we are going to enter into the solution. We've outlined the problem. We want to get into the solution. Please just take your time and clear out every other thing you need to clear. Then we start with the solution. You profile a solution, my brother profiles this, I profile mine. Go on.
Okay. You'll find that a lot of people think that just knowing big vocabulary, having a big English vocabulary is education. No. And they'll continue as they're reading, even the process of reading. Think about how you learn. Even in the process of reading, they'll be grabbing those words, they'll be stuck on those words and continue to learn the big words, but to actually reason through the logic.
Logically.
They can't do it. They can't do it. Why? Because it's not rooted in them.
Our reality,
it's not rooted in them. They're going outside of themselves.
Yes.
In their cultural exactly. It's not in the cultural reality. Yes. Because they'll say these things, they'll use these flowery words to sound smart. But then when they go home, do they deal with the same thing? The answer is no. So bridging that gap is a big problem. So I gave you the example of if a Chinese man sets up a pharmacy in an African village, and the people in the village cannot communicate about the side effects of the medication that this Chinese pharmacist is selling. They can't communicate to you about, or at least even if they communicate, they won't fully understand it. They become dependent on the person who's giving them the drug. What you find in these type of situation is it becomes a very imbalanced relationship, very, very imbalanced. It becomes either some kind of parasitic relationship, like they become parasites to each other. Yeah. Either the community is a parasite to this person, or this person is a parasite to the community. Somehow or the other, you will not really be equals. Because you're not coming from a place of, okay, I don't owe you anything. We're just here working together, exchanging things for the sake of exchanging things. Because we don't really see ourselves as equal. But if you're coming to me first from a place of, I'm good, I'm okay, I don't need this, but at this time we're exchanging something. Right now, everybody wants to get something for nothing because they feel like they don't really understand, but somehow I have to deal with you. So let me just figure out what I'll do to make things.
Lifestone, please just take a moment and wrap it up. So Lifestone, we finish up what you were saying.
So yeah, sorry, I was not hearing my brother. That's why I was going off and
no problem. Carry on. Finish up what you were
saying. So the issue with our education system, we have to go back, revive the education system, train people to be self-sufficient. Train people, educate people in a way that they will not be dependent on other companies or the government or any god to survive. This is the problem that our leaders are not seeing. And the issue is this, my brother, let me say this. Our leaders, it's not like they are not aware of this. They are very much aware. But they have one problem. They don't want their citizens to be financially okay. Because when the black man gains financial freedom, they would have control of their leaders. They will have control over the leaders. So your leaders don't want you to be financially okay. So they want to be always controlling what you do. So they will build companies, give you education system, which will bring you to these companies that will not make you self-sufficient. Look at the number of universities we have in Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, even Cameroon. Look at the universities that we have there. Up till now, look, there's a bottle of toothpaste. If you watch it, it's made in China. In China. It's made in China. So what is our university students? What are they doing after they graduate? So very soon you see most of them on the street. They say they've been called by God. They've turned into pastors. You see a university graduate preaching the word of God because the education system is bogus. I'm here. After JHS, I didn't go to school. When I built my life to this stage, I realized education was not in the classroom. The kind of education in the classroom was mental programming. It was just programming you to be lazy and foolish. Excuse me to use that word, but that is the truth.
Feel free.
Because I see PhD degree holders who have to come to an educated person like me to teach them something to do. And I just think like, so why waste your money acquiring a PhD degree? Last time I posted something on Facebook, I said, why, if the Fulani man dies, his children inherit richness than when a PhD degree holder died. Do you know why? The Fulani man would die with herds of cattle and leave it for his children. When a man with PhD degree dies, all he leaves in his home is a A4 sheet crafted in glass.
Bullshit.
The children cannot work with this A4 sheet. But by the time the Fulani man's children start selling one cattle, my sister, you want to say something?
I want to say something because the point that you just made and the thing you said about the pastor, that somebody will get a PhD and then go to the street and be a pastor. That's exactly why. Why? Because the only thing they've learned is this is what they've learned. They've seen the pastors making the money. So at the end of the day, what are they good for? Right? What is natural for them is to go out there and start taking money from people and exchanging, giving them the word of God and taking money from them. So at the end of the day, this is what you learn. So in the same way, when you're, that's their inheritance. The word of God is their inheritance. So they say in the same way that the Fulani herdsmen, the cattle is their inheritance. So they go and sell the cattle. That's how they do.
On that issue, on that note, please, my sister Dushima, please join. Thanks for joining in. I know the Nigerian network is really messing up.
The network is just like the economy. The Ghana and Nigeria network, no difference. It's just like the economy.
They are brothers. They are brothers. 5 and 6.
Go on, my sister.
Yeah, sorry about the break in and out. Yes, I really appreciate what my sister here has really been talking about. It's really exciting, you know. I, as a person, I hated school. I hated school so much that I felt like I was wasting time in the classroom because I didn't have anything, you know, to take in and really digest. There are some things that you say you learn, and before you know it, you find out that you have unlearned it even before you learn it. I don't know if you understand.
Yes. Ha! Nigerian network. Nigerian network. Thank you. Nigerian
network now. Wow. Just like Ghana
my
network.
sister,
No
please,
difference.
Nigeria and Ghana, and brother and sister now. My sister, please, now, is there any other thing you want to add before we get into the solution? How we are going to innovate and change this current educational system we are suffering under? Is there any other thing you need to add, or you want to just go straight to the solution? Because I need us to touch about metaphysics. Go on.
Oh, yes. So as she was saying, there's some things that you unlearn after you learn them.
In a room there.
And that is actually a big part of the problem, because the reason you're unlearning it is because it's not relevant, it's not useful to you. When you go in there and memorize formulas that don't, like he said, what did he said, MC delta theta or whatever. So once you learn this thing and it's not relevant to you, half the time you go home to Enugu, to Aba, to all these different places, and like, are you talking to when you go do things from day to day? Are any of these things useful to you? No. So you unlearn them so quickly, and at the end of the day, you can't even get a job with information. So I've wasted my money going to this school. Now I'm going home and I don't have any money. I have nothing to show for it except for pieces of paper. So. That's the problem. You are what you repeatedly do. This is one of my favorite quotes. You are what you repeatedly do.
Yeah.
training is supposed to be about getting you the opportunity to repeat a behavior over and over again so that you master it and it's useful to you for the rest of your life. That's what the apprenticeship program is like in Igbo land, what we used to have when we would train somebody, get them to repeat the behavior of creating something, of doing something, of starting their own company or whatever the case may be. But now, what are we training people to do over and over again? It's just to memorize English words and write and blah 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 blah. So we have to learn things that are useful to us in today's age, and it's not just us that needs this thing. All over the world, this thing is happening. This is not unique to us. It's not even unique to Africa. I've seen this thing happen here in inner city schools in Chicago and different cities here in the US. It happens. We need to transform education, not just in Africa, but all over the world. We need to change the way we think about education. That's what I wanted to say before we go into the next section.
No, you can now go into the next one. My brother Sunday, do you have anything to say? Let's before we go into the solution.
Yeah, in addition to everything we've seen here so far, we've touched so many things, so many areas, and we have so many things so many miles to go and other stuff to say. And this thing is not going to be a session teaching. And, people act based on what they hear. And the way it is now, it's very difficult for them to comprehend a lot of things they hear. First and foremost, they try to tell you how you define it or the words you use in describing it and stuff like that. They judge you instead of them to take the message and leave the grammar alone. They rather enjoy the grammar. They want you to speak like someone that, look, I've had these things several times. I interact with people all the time. I speak Igbo, hardcore Igbo. They say you're too local. I say fine. In fact, I will be. In fact, it's fine with me. I rather be
by local, they mean being yourself.
No, they don't understand it. In fact, they rather have you speak you know what I'm saying? No, I'm not speaking that. I said, I'm not speaking that. I speak Igbo, hardcore Igbo. He said, why do you talk to me every time you talk to me, you speak Igbo? When you talk to your friends, you speak English. I listen to your phone and all that. I said, to hell with that. I'm coming home. Don't keep me here. I discover who I am. This is not my place. You see what I'm saying? So all these things are the things we have to encounter these days because their mind is out of where they are. They've lose their self. When you lose yourself, you can be anything. Where the wind takes you to, you do this. It was only when I came to this country that I realized that there are seasons in a year and all that stuff. And we have it in Nigeria. In fact, I was taught that we have 3 seasons in Nigeria. I began to look at it, begin to think about it. I was like, okay, how? Yeah, we have 4 seasons. Okay, what is 4 seasons? They begin to name everything. And I experienced it. Then I went back there, I was like, we have all these things. I begin to relate all these things. You see, education is all what you make, what you make out of it, what you think it is. But the main education we're talking about here is self-sufficient. Self-government.
Yes.
You don't need no government to tell you that you can put 1-to-1 and get food. You don't need no government that you can do 1-on-1, get money. You can do more than enough, sell it, get money. You don't need no government support.
Yes.
We have all those things around. We have all these things around. It's all about getting people to wrap it around their head to understand that, look, these are the basic. These are the basic. Especially speaking your language is number one thing that stands you out. That gives you the belonging. You know that you belong somewhere. You are from somewhere. That which exports you to other exploration, which knowing other people. At the same time, you are learning. That's the education we're talking about.
Yeah.
But if the center is like about going to school, have a certificate, speak grammar, when you die, you only have a certificate. You have nothing to show for it. Those coming behind you will not have anything to remember you other than certificate.
Yes.
Now we are losing it. We are losing out of all that stuff until we go back to the basics. That's what I call it. We go back to the basics. Self-discovery. We are not going nowhere. We are just running in circles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, my brother. So, my sister, you, in your own way, explain to us what you think the solution should be. Please.
So if you ask me, the solution at the end of the day has to be reforming our educational systems from the ground up. We have to first of all, we as a people, we need to start making that our banner, our battle cry. Reform education systems. Everywhere you go, you need to be saying this thing. You need to be saying it on the radio. You need to be saying it wherever you go. We demand that reform this educational system. Go to your government officials, go to your governors, and tell them we demand that you reform our educational system. Once this thing gets kicked into motion and everybody is going along with it, because right now people are talking about creating their own countries, doing all these other things. But once we start demanding for a change in the way we talk about the things that matter to us, you'll find people stand up and start taking the tools in their hand and writing books and teaching the children, teaching everybody, and you'll see that within one generation, 20 years tops, you'll see the entire landscape transform, because because the children will now grow with a different mindset. They'll have a new mind. Look at America. Look at how it transformed in 100 years. Let's look at America. Think about it from the 20s to now, 1920 to now, and see how it has changed. Airplanes, all these things. Why? Because of education, the Industrial Revolution, all these things like that. Factory industrialization, all these things. When they started educating people in a very systematic fashion. So it really doesn't take much. We just have to decide this is what we want. We are transforming the way we talk about educating ourselves. We're transforming the way we're transforming what we're teaching to our children. We're transforming the way we must demand it. It's our rights. It's our rights. So that's my solution.
Okay. I want to add. I want to disagree with you on a little thing there.
Mhm.
The government is the cause of the problem, so I will not wait for them to find the solution. So my own is this: whatever school your child is attending, make sure you attend the parents meeting, parents teachers association meeting. How many of us here know what their children are being taught at school? Listen, I keep telling people that I love this global pandemic. I love this China virus for one thing. Now, with this China virus, our students started getting taught via the internet by their teachers. There's some parents, I hear some parents the other time, I think 3 weeks ago, complaining. It was on the newspaper that the class is boring when they are doing it like this, that the children need to be there. I'm like, no, you don't get it. The class is not boring. This is the exact thing you're paying for. This thing you're hearing now is the exact thing they are teaching your kids. That's why they are good in what do you call it, poems. They will recite every poem there, the national anthem, the national pledge, Mungo Park Discover River Niger. Other than that, nothing. What you are seeing is exactly what they are teaching your children. So go to the school. Don't wait for the state government. Even the local government won't do it. The state government you are talking about, the education commissioner, was educated, indoctrinated into the system. How would he give what he doesn't have? So if you know this, you go there to this Parents Teachers Association meeting, you raise this issue, tell them this is how it should be done. This is what should be done. You that know exactly, and those of us that have the money, please start building your own schools. I saw what our brother Nonso Ejirika is doing.
Yes.
Whether you agree
Yes.
with everything he says or not, please, it has no meaning. Check the type of thing he's bringing. He is bringing a revolutionary education where kids will grow up and not expect the government to give them any damn thing. It will be different from business as usual. By the time we grow up like that, we find out that we checked before. People who stopped at maybe primary 6, they write well, they write better than even when did this even spot? Go to Opiwe Canal. Most of the guys you see, most of the Aboros can speak very well and write very well. But an average person in a state university can't even write very well. You find out that we need to take the bull by the horn. Don't expect the government to do it. It's either they won't do it or they can't. They won't do it in a way,
Exactly.
in the sense that, like in northern Nigeria, you don't expect a local government chairman who depends on the Sultan of Sokoto or Shehu of Borno or the Emir of Kano. A local government chairman who depends on him to preserve his job will not allow the school system to change. Why? Because if it changes, the students will wake up one day and start asking, hey, this Sultan of Sokoto, when do you become this Sultan? This Sultan is a Turkish word. It's not a Hausa word. Emir. Emir is an Arabian word. How come this emirship? How come we have this person who is actually ruling us, the person we are voting for, or you, an unelected moron there, telling us when to move, when not to move, this and that, decides who will be the president, who won't be, who will be the governor, who will not be the governor, who will get what, and who doesn't get. You find out that those people will not change it. It's going to start with parents. Let parents go into the schools and start the changes from your own locality. Before you know what's happening, the system, the people at the top will be forced to toe your part, because if you want to start protesting, for how long will you do it?
That's true.
Change it. Who is there? They cannot, it's too broad. And these guys don't even have the mental capacity to take care of 20 people, let alone the entire school system. So it has to be us. My brother Lifestone, please, what do you think the solution should be?
To talking about solution, okay. My solution out of this system, I have it in various forms. I may not be able to discuss all, but the first thing we have to understand about the word education is this. Education comes in various forms. Education is not going to school to learn English grammar. That is not education. You go to school and you are beaten for speaking your own Igbo or Ghanaian language. Then he said, that is not education. My way of education will be like more practical education, teaching people to use their hands to work rather than putting things in their brain that they can only read. So my education will come in form of train your children even in agriculture. They don't need any formal education to be able to learn how to sow a seed. Train your children in agriculture, and in agriculture also comes with various forms. We have the plant farming, we have the animal farming, we have a lot. We have the poultry farming. These things you don't need certificate to do. This is the kind of education we are looking for. When the government of my country decided to do free education, I was out there advocating that we don't need free senior high school education. We need free vocational training education.
Yes.
Because this will enable people to start working immediately they come out of school. This is what we are talking about. So the solution to this should start from our parents. We have to start teaching their children the form of like a
My brother, wait, hold on. Bosom, please stay quiet. Every noise you're making there is coming out in the studio. Please just relax. Keep your phone, steady your camera, and don't move too much, please. Carry on, Lifestone.
Yeah, so it should come from our parents. You have a parent in a business, and the parent has sent his children to school to go and learn how to label the parts of a kangaroo, to go and learn how to draw the human intestine. But the parents have a business that he can educate the children. Even, let me tell you this. If you have a business and you educate your children with a business, it's not necessarily that they'll come and do your business, but they can manage it in your absence. This is what we have to start to understand. That we, the parents, have the responsibility of educating our children and not the schools. Because the schools, they are being controlled with the kind of things to teach. I always say this. Look at how the Bible has been successfully translated to every other language. Why is your science and math textbook still in English language?
Thank you.
This is the problem, because you cannot understand. You go to school and they are teaching you the career that you are coming to do in a language. That language is also a different course that you have to learn. So you reach university and you have not even finished studying English. How would you understand the parts or the chemical composition of something whilst you don't even understand the English language? So look at the years it's going to take you. That is why China is at where they are. Because the Chinese man does not read English. But everything they do, the Japanese is in their language. So they don't need to go to school to learn Chinese. Once they get to school, they start learning the things that they're supposed to learn. So it takes them a shorter period of time to be educated. You have to learn English. Learn English. Even learning the English is not easy. You learn one word, you go back to the dictionary and look for the meaning. That meaning will give you another big word. You have to look at the years you are going to spend on this subject.
Yeah, let our sister jump in. Then after our sister Anyangu, you give us your own suggestion on the way forward. Then our brother Bosomba, he's a teacher, or we'll give him the floor to teach us one or two things. Please, my sister, jump in. Then Anyangu.
I want to piggyback off of what Lifestone said. Education is not just to learn big words in English. You also mentioned the chemical composition of something. Do you know all those things in chemistry are coming from a cultural tendency? So when you're hearing things about atoms, when you're hearing things about molecules, when you're hearing things about all these things, these are metaphysical and occultic symbols. Not to get too deep into these things, but these are symbols that are understood subconsciously in the minds of everyone.
In Africa, chemistry was gotten from the word Kemet. Kemet. And Kemet is the ancient name of Egypt, Sudan, South Sudan, and some part of Ethiopia. For those of you that don't know, my sister, carry on.
And all these symbols are subconscious in the minds of anybody who is growing up in these environments. Now, when you're going into these things and memorizing big, fancy English words without understanding the cultural context of all those symbols that are being taught behind those things, that is what makes the information null and obsolete to you. You're just learning these things and memorizing these things, and at the end of the day, when you go home, they're not really relevant to you, but you're just doing it because it's your job and you have to do it, and you're stressing yourself out and you're doing all these things. But at the end of the day, if you take that same information and go to US, yes, sometimes we do well there, but at least in the people who are culturally indoctrinated into those symbols will kind of use them differently, will kind of view it differently, that you yourself cannot fully understand if you were to take that information and stay in Africa and try to use them, which is why you see a lot of us trying to do things and going halfway and not finishing and not creating and not doing things as they should be done unless you are not educated at all and you just started something on your own. That's when you see those people actually doing well, like the innocent, like you said, like other people who are doing well because they didn't even get a formal education in the way that we know it. Even the president of Nigeria, didn't they say he doesn't have a college degree or something like that? Even high school diplomas. Yeah. So at the end of the day,
my brother Anyangu, jump in now, please. You can jump in so our brother Boson will take care of it.
His mic is muted.
So unmute your mic. Unmute your mic, my brother. Unmute your mic.
Anyangu, your mic is muted.
Unmute your mic.
Yes. Okay. You see, my take in this whole thing is this. We need to start re-educating people. And I've seen a couple of people that have started doing that. One important thing that we need to get rid of in order to capture our people's mind is religion. If you don't get rid of that, in 5 years from now, all these things will be irrelevant.
Yes.
I'm crying today because I had the opportunity to learn mechanic when I was in Nigeria, for the fact that every mechanic in Nigeria I looked down and slapped in the face and called madman. Yes. I got here, I began shed tears. I was like, how did this happen?
How did you miss this opportunity?
How? My greatest regret in life today is not being able to learn mechanic. Mm-hmm. Now, do I need to go to school to be able to finalize and stand out in that? In America, yes. It doesn't take more than 3 months to go to adult education, adult class here. Took adult class for 3 months, and I get the certificate. Yeah. No, I'm not sitting in the classroom. I will be at the workshop half of the time doing that. The only thing I have to go to classroom was to be able to, express myself,
Right.
be able to, tell them, hey, I understand that. They give me the piece of paper. My professor said that piece of paper is just to, show that yes, you went through this. But what you have here is what counts.
Yes.
But people look down on those things, little things that makes up so much. Until people begin to understand and don't see everything like it has to be in the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus has messed up people's mind. If you're talking to somebody never said in the name of Jesus, he's not going to take you serious.
Yes.
Then, heaven forbid, he said, look, you need to connect yourself with your local study, your local doctrines, and all that
your cultural heritage.
You're an evil man. You are an evil man. In fact, you mentioned Amadioha. Hey, Church Abasa. Everything. Look, other people's culture, we need to cut the urge of learning other people's culture and live our rich natural culture that has everything that gives life. We've abandoned it. We've betrayed ourselves. We are going just at the point of no return. Education is just the way.
Thank you, my brother.
What we have here is the most important thing. We need to detach our people from that mentality of seeing what we have as inferior and seeing other people what they have as an original. No, we are the original people. We are the originality. Everything is made from us. All this thing was you taking a computer, you reformat it, and you program it back and give it back to the owner. That's what they did to us.
Yes.
You see what I mean? It's very sad. It's very sad. I went to a school in my village. They were teaching them computer classes. No computer.
No, on paper.
They never seen a computer.
How?
You say how? When you went back to school,
I never saw a single computer. I never saw a single computer in all the schools I attended. The only computer we saw was in our principal, in the owner of our proprietor's office.
He doesn't know how to use it.
I never saw it come on one day. I don't know the screen color. I never saw it being turned on. I believe now. I know why he put it there. Just for formality's sake, packaging.
He doesn't know how to use it. He doesn't know how to use it. Laptop and tablet are seen as a god, are seen as must have, are seen as, oh, this is so good. That you wonder why they go crazy about phones? The only thing they do with phone is just to use it to talk to you. You know what I mean? The phone is smarter than them. It's so shameful that someone that went to university,
thank you, my brother.
All they care about is how their look, what they wear. Does he have a job? No. Does he even know how?
Please,
ask any one of them. Ask any one of them. What did they have in mind? What is their future plan? They don't have. It baffles. It makes me crazy. Like how?
Hold on. Hold it there to add to what you said. I call it smartphone dumb brains. My brother Bosomba, please carry on. We are waiting for you, the great teacher.
Hey, thank you very much. I greet all of you. I'm so happy for you guys about this topic because I am a PhD candidate. I've been a candidate for almost 4 years, and I'm into the type of education that you guys are talking about. First of all, let me say this: a PhD and all type of doctoral education is nothing but just a paper writing and just article reading and how you can write something and you just put it on into a publication for others to read. Since I started, when I started the program, it was all about coursework. You do a coursework, and the coursework is just too much about reading different type of books and different type of articles and how you can summarize and how you can critique. So every week you have to do that. And after that, then we have a dissertation. The dissertation, you come up with your own topic, like you want to research into something. And what they are interested is how you can, write about what you intend to research and how you can publish it. That is what they are interested in. A PhD is just money making. Institutions, it is just about money making because you just enter into the institution. You have to pay so much to acquire a certificate. Me, for example, with all my degrees, I don't even get anything from the degrees that I've acquired. The job that I entered in, I am a retired soldier. I have retired here in the United States here because and I get money from that. Aside that, I don't get any money from the type of my education that I have acquired. So that kind of education is just useless. This is the strategy the white people brought to Africa. The type of education that we have is not an education for development and production and for human development. It is just a type of education for how to read and write. It has nothing to do with African development. When the European came, they came with their own strategies and plans. And the strategy contains in their type of education that they brought. You have to go to a primary school to a university. Here's what we study. Everything that we study is non-applicable. You cannot apply it. For example, if you take our physics book, you take chemistry book, you take biology, it's just on paper. In reality, just ask the African man. You have learned something from school. We want you to apply it. The African man cannot apply it. So what is the essence of studying all these things in school? And in Africa, and in particular in Ghana, this is what I have witnessed. If you can speak someone's mother tongue, which is the English language, which is not our own mother tongue, someone else's mother's tongue. If you can speak English very well, then they will tell you that, oh, the person is competent. Oh, this person is educated. This person is literate. And in Ghana, we don't even respect our own people who are building the economy. If I say building the economy, in Ghana, it is only the farmers. They produce something for us. Apart from the farmers, we don't see anybody producing anything. Our education is like we graduate or we come out of the school and we become dependent. We become dependent because we don't produce anything. Everybody wants to work from office. Everybody wants to work in the department. So what kind of education is this? Just going to school, acquire a certificate, acquire something, a process and a procedure in your brain, something you cannot apply it. And this is what we are healing in Ghana, and this is what we are healing in Africa. The education is good. Education is important. Education will help us. We have been educated. Now we have so many PhD holders in Ghana. We have so many professors in Nigeria. They cannot do anything. So many professors in Ghana. The only thing they can do is publishing articles, publishing books. That is all. If you publish article, if you publish a book, it has nothing to do with our economy. It has nothing to do with human development. It has nothing to do with production. And this is what we are entertaining. Somebody came through my email, and the person wanted to know how many articles I have published last year. The person asked me, how many articles did you publish last year? And I said, why are you concerned about articles that are published last year? I said, as a PhD candidate, you're supposed to publish so many articles so that when you come to Ghana and you apply to any institution, they will look at the articles that you wrote. And I said, I don't need to publish any articles and write this PhD. I just went to the school because of Ghanaians, because of the kind of disrespect attitude we give to everybody in Ghana. When we go to communities, we think those people in our rural villages are just illiterate and they are fools because they cannot speak English. That is how we see them. Me, I went to school specifically to face our politicians because if I come to Ghana, you cannot just come in front of me and tell me I have a PhD, so and so, blah, blah, blah. I have to handle. I will first of all question you, what can you do with your hands? What can you do for Ghanaians? I have seen that in Ghana, people who haven't been to this so-called formal type of education are the people doing something. We have a man in Ghana, I heard you saying in Nigeria, innocent. In Ghana, we have Safo Kantanga. He's the only person producing cars. And he did not go to school. And you see what our professors and our doctors in our higher education institutions don't even respect him because he did not go to an English school. And this man, what he's doing, if you combine the entire Ghanaian professors together, what the man is doing,
please, 1 minute, my brother. This is the same man that planted a mango tree and harvested it in 4 months, right?
Yes.
Now imagine if you have a 10-acre of a mango plantation, you are harvesting every 4 months, selling it to the Westerners. How much is just one mango fruit in the West? Now imagine the amount of money, amount of foreign reserve he will be bringing back, like foreign currency, he will be bringing back. When he sells those things, he can buy modern farm tools, bring them to Ghana, and produce more things, not just mangoes. Then he will go into rice farming and everything. Do you know that the rice you call American rice today is actually rice taken from Sierra Leone?
Yeah, a variety.
They took those slaves to go plant that rice specifically in North Carolina and Georgia in the USA. And today we can't even feed ourselves. These are the type of people we need to encourage. You empower them, give them these government loans, not these dumb politicians who will take the money and still take it back to the people that printed it and give it to them. Then you wonder why there is dollar in Nigeria and the poor people are suffering. Lifestone, please jump in so our brother will continue.
Thank you, Mr. Kwekwejekum. That's my uncle there. He's the fireman we have on our platform. Look, this Safo Kantanka thing, look, when you come to Ghana and you really look at the magnitude of how our leaders are playing dumb on this man, you cry. Look, you said he harvested a mango. The mango was in 3 months. It was not 4 months. He developed a medicine that he gives to rabbits, and the rabbits can reproduce up to 15, 20. He advertised it, and we saw. This man did a weedicide that was medicinal to the human body, but could kill every weed. Look, just with herb, he did a weedicide. Do you know when my government came to plan for food and jobs? My government imported weedicide to the country. Yes, my government imported weedicide and fertilizer to Ghana while this man was showing adverts on TV that he has weedicide that does not even affect the crop. It does not affect the soil. It just kills the weed. He advertises. They know. They don't care. They will not listen to this man. That is the irony of the problem. The kind of educated people we have in our country. This is what they do. My brother Kwekwejekum, continue.
Kwekwe, please carry on.
Okay, thank you, Livestone. Thank you for your contribution. So this is the situation that we have in Africa. We value people who can speak English language, and we value people that we think that have acquired certificates. That is the reason why we are lagging behind. If we want to really move forward as a nation in Africa, we have to just look at, China started in the 1970s. China was just nothing. China was a poverty-stricken nation, just like any other African nation. And the Chinese realized, we have to actually use our own indigenous knowledge and indigenous language. We have to use our culture.
My brother, hold on. My brother, please, before you continue, just look at what this my Ghanaian brother is saying. Please, Niger people, help us. Please, wait. You are seeing someone, your rope is on your legs, and you are telling someone his own rope is on his neck to help you. You think Nigeria is better than Ghana? Eh?
You're asking a dead man to help you.
It's not easy. We have a lot of issues across Africa. Everywhere you go, a lot of issues, challenges everywhere in Africa because we are not paying attention to the Western world, how they are using strategies and education against us. What kind of education is this? Go to school, learn how to read and write. You cannot use your hand to do anything, and we call it education. For example, somebody went to school to study photosynthesis, and you ask the person, okay,
Yes.
you have deep photosynthesis. How can you apply photosynthesis and the person cannot do anything? Somebody just studies so many chemical reactions in the chemistry. You ask them, do you know in Ghana we don't produce a single chemical, but we have scientists and we have people who are studying chemistry, people who are studying physics, and they cannot produce anything, a single thing. Whatever that we are studying, we import it into Ghana, and then our people are there. Oh, this is what now. What kind of education is it? We have to produce our own, and that is the reason why all the resources in Ghana it is foreigners. It come, and you guys said something about China when I came here. Do you know the funny thing? When the Ghanaian politicians and our so-called educators insult our local farmers and our villagers, the Chinese only give us prisoners. When the prisoners come to Ghana, they can't speak good English. They can't speak nothing. People who are prisoners, people who have not obtained any formal education, they come to Ghana and these are the people our leaders negotiate. They are there negotiating gold, minerals, everything with them. And the prisoners, Chinese who are prisoners, are able to use their brains against our leaders. And they are taking everything, destroying everything. And we claim ourselves that we are highly educated, we have professors, we have doctors, we have this, blah, blah, blah. A common prisoner from China, somebody who cannot speak English, somebody who can't speak anything, is there, and then we just give them an interpreter. The person will interpret it, the home, and they will interpret it, and our leaders will be, shaking their head, okay, agree, agree. Then they give everything to them. Now come to Ghana and see. Chinese have taken everything. All our resources now belongs to them. They are in our communities doing illegal mining. The Chinese don't have, authority over Ghanaians. You just come to Ghana along our river banks, everything, they are just taking gold, and they even have the right to kill. They have the right to kill. You see, when the Chinese kill a Ghanaian, it's like they'll just take him to police station, and then politicians will just go there. They will build a person. It just happened. There was one lady who killed a Ghanaian in somewhere of Wasa, a gold mining town in Ghana, and they took her to court, and our politicians went and bailed her. Then they deported her. And I said, can an African person go to China and do this? No.
Nope.
We are very sick people. Look, I must tell you, we are very sick people. We need proper education and proper educational models. Our educational curriculum exclude our culture, our traditions, and everything in the nation. We don't even study our own history. Nothing. How can you study an European history? How can you study somebody's grandfather, grandchildren, and you expect yourself to be developed? So we have everything is messed up in Africa. Everything is just bad.
Thank you, my brother. My brother, we don't have enough time left right now. But one of these days, I will please inbox me. I don't know your new Facebook account, or I will take your number from Livestone and contact you, because we need to host a joint program. If you want to host me, no problem. If not, I will host you here. We have lots of things, and I'm looking for this our brother Collins Asante. I don't know where he is. I've been looking for.
I'll tell
Collins
you.
is there. I will inform him.
Yeah, inform Collins Asante. I've been looking for him. I've been trying to add him. Tell him most of my accounts, they keep taking them down. But this page is going to remain at least for a long time now. I know the type of things I'll be saying and the things I wouldn't be doing. Here we code many words, and I have my YouTube account too. My brother Bosom, I have to drop you now. Thank you for your wonderful contribution. So I will give Livestone to summarize. After that, then our sister, then she will tell us other things that she's doing, her projects and all that. Then how people can find her on social media. So my brother, before you go, take 3 minutes to wrap up everything you've said and everything we say here. Bosomba, I'm referring to you now. Take 3 minutes and wrap it up. So my brother,
okay. I thank the viewers again. This is what I want to tell the African people. If we really want to catch up with the rest of the world, this is what they are using against us: science and technology. And they are really practicing the actual science and technology. And we are practicing how to read and write. how to read and write type of education, we don't need it. That is colonialism. That is slavery. We don't need this kind of system in Ghana. If we continue with this type of how to read and write, 1+1 is this, this plus this is this, photosynthesis is this, we are not going to achieve anything. We have to really learn from the nations that have really caught up with the rest of the world. China wasn't China when they started realizing that they have to really, inculcate science and engineering and technology into their own educational system. They have to use their own mother tongue in the nation. How can we be using somebody's mother tongue and English language in Africa across everywhere? And you expect me to be competent in somebody's mother tongue? And we just go to school, we find it very difficult to even read and write in somebody's mother tongue. If we continue with this type of education, Africa, I'm telling you, as our people, that these people will come again for second colonialism. We have nowhere to go. Education, they say, is a good thing for us, but not this type of education that our leaders will go to parliament and they speak big grammar, big English, and then they're clapping for them, applauding them. Oh, this person in Ghana, the most funny thing is that if you can speak English very well, they say, oh, this person is a presidential material. What kind of system is this? You judge somebody based on how the person is able to speak English language. Is this what we are entertaining in the nation? We just need proper educational reform. Our educational system does not reflect the environment. It doesn't reflect our knowledge. It doesn't reflect the African. So we need the African educational system that can help us to develop, that can help us to uplift ourselves from poverty. Let me say this on our end here. The most funny thing is that all our leaders have succumbed to these Europeans and they dictate to them. Our leaders are puppets. For example, Ghanaian president just said something yesterday that Ghana, we have signed a treaty to vaccine and we are waiting on the Europeans to come and vaccinate Ghanaians. And this same person rejected a Madagascan, medicine. And you expect African to develop. We have nowhere to. We don't even trust ourselves. That is why our own local people who are producing something in the nation don't respect them.
Self-hate. Thank you, my brother, for that wonderful contribution. And if you want us to discuss that topic here, we can discuss it. Just inbox me on the page. Like I follow the page, you see the inbox section. Then inbox me. Then I'll take your number. Any day you want us to host the thing, we will host that topic on the vaccine and what the Ghanaian president see. It's not only in Ghana. Let me tell you. Go and check all your people, every Ghanaian that is connected to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They are the people you should be focusing on. That is how they are controlling you. They are using a machine they created. But you see your Ghanaian Center for Disease and Control. Go and check how much they've taken in from those people who are manufacturing those vaccines. Go and check. That vaccine will not be further from Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson. This is a plan they've made. They've kept this in the cooler for a long time. Now they are using under the cover of this global pandemic. They want to bring in what they've been trying to bring in. Those two French doctors they didn't sleep when they said that thing they said that made the Didier Drogba and the Dembaba alongside Samuel Eto'o to react. These are the things they are saying openly among their peers. So they've been so comfortable with it that they don't even know when they say it on live TV. Please, my brother, I will contact you after the program. Inbox me, so we'll have a conversation on that one. Thank you so much for a wonderful
contribution. Thank you.
Tell our brothers how they will get in touch with you online. Tell them this thing. Your account, your Facebook or Twitter.
My Facebook account is Bosomba Kweku AG Bosomba. I just changed my name from the Kweku AG to Kweku AG Bosomba. That is my Facebook account name. Normally, I don't usually come on Facebook for live teaching because I'm so busy here. A lot of this useless education, research is killing me. So normally I do my teaching in the Ghanaian language. I don't normally do it in the English language. That is what I do my teaching. So thank you very much. I will contact you. I will inbox you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. So Lifestone, please.
Yeah.
Lifestone,
I'll,
use 5 or 10 minutes to summarize. Then our
okay.
sister. Yeah.
I'll first take my brother and uncle Openye. We call him Openye Jikum. That man, he's very knowledgeable. The things that he have learned in his head, when he's teaching you, you will love him. You will love him. He decodes even their own language for them. Our language, he can decode the language and explain it to you better. And to talk about all these things, my people, I wrote in the post that look, they say education is the key, right? The kind of education we have in Africa is the padlock.
Yes, so
it is not the key. It is the padlock. This is what is locking our brains.
Yes.
We have to go out of this education and begin to understand that we have to train people to be productive. We have to train people to be productive. You can acquire a PhD degree and still be foolish. You can hold a PhD degree and still be ignorant. These degrees are just bunch of, like my brother, my big brother just said, they have all the papers, they have all the certification. They are not doing anything with it. They are just writing article with it. This is not what we need. We need people that can reproduce from what they learn, so that we all see that yes, they have been educated and this is the evidence of their education. If by 5-10 years time this education system does not change in Africa, we will still come back to these videos and we'll be saying these things over and over and over, and it will not end us anywhere. That is why I'm saying don't depend on your school. You a parent, it is your responsibility to educate your child. Know the kind of education your child. Yes, me, I started looking for money at the age of 12. At the age of 12 years old, I was already on the streets looking for money. I told my mom if she had even given me the opportunity earlier, maybe it would have been somewhere greater today. Because all we were thinking about, go to school, be a pilot, be a doctor, all these things, our education cannot make us doctors. Look at the doctors that we have surrounding our country in Ghana. You go to them, they are dependent on God. You go to them, they tell you we don't have the solution. People are dying in our hospitals every day because they don't understand the natural things that they need to be doctors. All they have read is a bunch of books telling them what they do that they can't apply. I would trust a native doctor than an educated doctor, because look, the native doctor is not, he gets a knowledge from his forefather what he needs to heal. Like my mother taught me how to cure myself when I have malaria. No doctor comes to cure me when I have malaria. I know the herbs to prepare. This is the education that we are talking about. So if I teach my child this, my child tomorrow will know how to cure himself and his family when they have malaria. That is the education. Education is not going to sit in class and learning geography, learning trigonometric theory, what was Pythagoras theory. These are all names. People who think they've discovered something, they put their names to that just to confuse you. And you are in class learning things.
Oh,
what happened to him?
It's like he got a call.
Yeah.
I think so, I heard enough from him. So, my sister, please wrap it up. And please, if there is any other thing you want to tell us, like how we can find you before you give your final this thing, how we can find us, any other project you have, every other thing, let us know.
Yeah, so let me just piggyback off the last thing he said. So he was talking about like all these things. I feel like that's how they marginalize people. They marginalize people so that people don't have to, because how his mother taught him how to cure malaria on his own, using herbs. After now, he'll go to somebody and tell them that thing, and they'll say it's superstition, or that thing is not curing your herbs. But he knows it is. When he gets malaria, after he takes this thing, he's cured. So how can you tell him that it's superstition, that this thing is not working? It's working for him. He's alive. He's talking to us, right? So all these things, like, we need to find a way to allow us to educate ourselves. This is important. And you're right. It can't just come from the government. Some of us can even start schools in our own father's compound if we need to. Passing the information down, take responsibility. You are your brother's keeper. This is what we need to do. So Onto, as you said, I can just take it on to what I'm doing. So
Your
as
project.
part of my projects, so we have Igbo language things which I encourage everybody to do. I encourage you, if you are an Igbo or African, like knowledgeable in your African language, and you understand your African language very well, and you've been educated in other ways too, find a way to bring this knowledge together. Find a way to, create something using your own language, your own cultural symbols, your own cultural, and speak to your family, speak to your brothers and sisters, speak to your neighbor in your African community, and help them to come and join the fight for more, more education in our own way, because this is what will move us all forward. This is what will bring us all over the finish line together. So what I'm doing now, so we have Ikenga Nation is the brand that I represent, and so we have a podcast where we tell folk tales in Igbo language. We also have other educational content in Igbo language. We have Igbo lectures where we teach different topics from science to engineering to all these things using Igbo language. That also is on YouTube. Ikenga Nation. Ikenga. Any Igbo person will know what Ikenga is. Ikenga Nation. Go. If you just Google us, you'll see our YouTube channel, you see our podcast, you see our Facebook page, you see our Twitter. All of them says Ikenga Nation. So just type in
Ikenga Nation.
Ikenga Nation.
Wait, let me
Yes.
let me write it as a banner here.
Yes.
Hold
Ikenga
on.
Nation. Mhm.
Ikenga Nation. Hold on. Ikenga Nation.
So
Okay.
mhm.
That's the name. Okay, I've seen it.
Yes.
Carry
So
on.
if you just if you just go to this platform, you see that we have different contents, and you'll see an example of what I'm talking about here, educating us using our own native language symbols. And if you yourself are of a native language that is not Igbo, please endeavor to do these things for yourself, because this is how each one will teach one, and we'll find out that we have so much knowledge and wealth of knowledge in our own symbols. Like he mentioned, a brother, Nosoy Jerika, teaches using Igbo symbols, the cosmology of the Igbo language. Igbo has its own worldview. It is a
Yes.
way that we look at things that is specific to our language that will actually find that it helps the global landscape of diversity,
Yes.
because when you look at things in a different way, it can shed a new light on that same concept. you
Yes.
know we have the concept in Igbo of the Ikenga. We have the concept of Igbo of the Chi. You have the concept in Igbo of Amadioha. All these things are concepts that when you
Yes.
take the same thing and you look at it a different way, it will actually give you a deeper understanding of that thing. That's why these different things in different languages are very, very important, because it will give the human race a deeper knowledge. You have to, that's the important thing. So if you look for Ikenga Nation, you'll see all these things. You'll see many things in Igbo language. But like I said, if you're into that type of thing and you want to do it for your own culture, I'm pro the diversity of language, because I believe that we all have our part to play in all of this. Last thing I'll say is that we're also currently working on a dictionary translating from using Igbo words and defining them using the Igbo language. Because what you'll see is
Please,
that a lot of
one
the
minute.
dictionaries that
One
we
minute.
currently
We
have
didn't
are
catch.
actually
We
just
didn't catch this. As we didn't catch this in that we had a glitch. Please
Mhm.
just repeat what you just said now. You said that also the last.
The last thing I'll say is that the
Yeah.
current our current project is to create an Igbo language dictionary that takes Igbo words and gives them definitions in Igbo language. Now, the significance of this is that most of the African language dictionaries, is actually a translator. It will
Yes.
translate from Igbo to something else. So you'll see the word Nketa. What is Nketa? Dog. You won't
Dog.
even be able to explain Nketa. You won't even be able to explain.
Etymology of that name, going deep into it.
Yes, you won't even be able to explain. So you see the average person, and that goes back to the education concept, thinking deeply about that concept. you can't do. You only know how to parrot back the definition in English, the English word. So thinking, you can think deeply, but there's a way you can take concepts and play with them when you understand the meaning behind the meaning, the etymology, as he called it. So because of those things, it's very important for us to be able to do these things. So we're creating this dictionary that will be a tool for other people to be able to dig deeper into this thing. So that's one thing that Ikenga Nation is doing right now. And the second last thing that I'll mention is we're creating a TV show for children. We're creating a TV show for children that children can now come and watch. I don't know if you're familiar with Sesame Street and all these shows where the kids are laughing and singing folk tales and stuff like that. So we're creating this type of thing, but we want to focus it on the children, because it's the children that will actually change their minds, and they will now take the information into the future and they'll build with it. We started somewhere. The foolishness, or the brokenness of Africa started with the mind. So the solution starts with the mind. Then I'll leave with that. Oh, you're bringing up Ikenga Nation. Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
No, this is your Twitter account, right?
This is Twitter. Yes, Ikenga Nation. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. My brothers and sisters, if you're on Twitter, you can add her here. This is her Twitter account. When you type in Ikenga Nation, you will see it here. You will see from these photos. This is the profile. So you don't go add another Ikenga. Okay. This is our own Twitter account. This is my own Twitter account, Ijele Speaks. You can add me there. You can add me on my own. This is my own Twitter account. Wait, I don't know why it's not pulling up. This is my own Twitter account, Ijele Speaks. You can add me there. Is the third Twitter account anyway, not the original one. They've taken down two of them. And this is my Facebook, my Twitter, my YouTube channel. Ijele Speaks. I have this YouTube channel. We are broadcasting there, as you can see. We are live here. This is the live stream on YouTube. And guys on YouTube, I thank you. Please make sure you are thumbing it up on YouTube. It helps with the algorithm in the recommendation box. It helps us when you like and comment. Please leave a favorable comment there. Please, guys on Facebook, if you've not added us here, add us here. In case we lose the Facebook account, we come here and regroup on YouTube. From there, we create another Facebook account. We are not going to leave this platform for them unless Facebook goes out of business. We know they are no longer deceiving our people. That way, we will let them be. So, my sister, you can just take 5 minutes and wrap everything up. Tell us about your project, how else we can find you. This is our Facebook account, Udochi Okeke. Go add her up. Udochi Okeke, she does a lot of things. You can share her works there, share everything you like there. Please help share it. No one else will do it for us but us. My sister, please take 2 minutes and wrap it up. We'll end the stream.
Okay, so the last thing I'll just say to make sure that we wrap this thing up and make sure that we've said everything that needs to be said. If we start today to equip our teachers, to equip our students with the information, with the resources to educate the next generation, then I'm telling you, in the next 20 years, so this is 2020, right? If we start today to educate this generation, in 20 years, as you start with the 6-year-old children, in 20 years from now, you have an entire generation of a workforce that is ready with the mind equipped to transform the landscape of Africa. All it takes is one generation. You think that it will take 150 years, whatever, but all it really takes is the mind. It starts in the mind. So just educate these people to the age of 20, 25, 26 or whatever, and educate them in a way that they know who they are, what they should know about themselves, and where they are going, their history and their presence and where they're going. And I'm telling you, the landscape will transform. It starts in the mind. Remember that.
Yes, thank you, my wonderful sister, for joining us today and bringing your knowledge to bear. My people, my brother, how are you, soldier? Warrior. And my brother that sent me his phone number, please send me that phone number via inbox. Inbox me that phone number, because I may go look for it in the comment section. I wouldn't be able to see it. There are many comments here. inbox me. There is this thing on the page, or you can add me. You can add me there. Chinedu, you've asked this question before. I think when next she's coming, I will block you. I will block you. Then when she's done, I will go and unblock you. Stop asking this nonsense question before people start beating you up. Okay? So you don't ask such a question. You've asked it before. I pretended I didn't say it. Now you are repeating it again. Do you want to have a problem with me? Do you really want to have a problem with me? It's okay. Respect yourself.
Yes.
Hear it in English and it in French. Respect yourself. Okay. Thank you, my sister. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We brought the program to an end. I hope you will all learn a thing or two today. Just turn on the notification on the page. For those of you that are not getting the notifications, if you're not getting notifications and you don't know how to turn it on, you can unfollow the page, then go to the live video, go open any live video. When the follow box comes up, you follow it, then ring the bell near it. Those on YouTube, please ring the bell to get alerted anytime we go live. Again, this is the YouTube account. This is the YouTube channel, Ijele Speaks. This is the YouTube channel. Ijele Speaks. Go there, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss a thing. Thank you once more, brothers and sisters, and may Africa be free in our own time. Bye.
Bye-bye.